They're real good. They're an NCAA caliber team, and that's you play in the NCAA tournament. Those are the teams you play, and they're old. They're very disciplined. They're very strong. We got beat on screen. Anything that had to do with physicality, we got beat. Screens, rebounding, charges. Their guys took charges. My guards get out of the way. Trey Campbell gets out of the way. Sonny gets out of the way. Mike Kotsar gets out of the way. We got beat by basically a better team, period. End of story.
Franco, you guys came back in the first half, made it a three-point game at halftime. What did you see? How did they adjust to your defense in the second half?
They just, they stopped turning it over. That's what they did. They turned it over in that stretch where we scored and, gave us some open court opportunities. I spent 3 days telling our guys that they're hard to score on when their defense sets, and you're going to have to make threes. And, and right now we get nothing inside the paint. Our big guys do not score the ball in the paint. They just they don't even know what, calling plays for them, and they don't even know what plays they're supposed to run. And that's on me. It's my job to make sure guys do what they're supposed to do. Where it gets a little frustrating for me is when you call plays that have been called the same thing and it's the same action for 3 or 4 years, you would think the two guys that have the most starts in our program would understand what those plays are by now. But for some reason, sometime between last year and this year, they forgot that stuff. But, and then, and by the way, this is not an excuse. This is just part of the preparation when you're playing Wofford. Keyshawn doesn't practice all week. He showed up from Thanksgiving break on Friday with a headache and couldn't see in the lights, so he's been shacked up in a dark room for 3 days. And he tried at shoot-around to go. His head didn't hurt. We have no idea. He's had issues with migraines before. They just flared up. So he had no practice time. He just in shoot-around. He shot some balls today, and he went out there, tried to play. And then obviously when Justin gets hurt yesterday, Justin has become the leader of this basketball team. He's the guy that has the most discipline, the most toughness, the most enthusiasm, and is the most excited about coming in here every day and getting better. And he's becoming the leader of this team. And then when you lose that spirit from the game, it forget the rotation, forget the fact that now Sonny has to start. So now you come in with 2 freshman guards off the bench, which and T.J. Moss, who's practiced for a grand total of maybe 8 days, and Keyshawn Bryant, who hadn't practiced all week. So now you're coming off with 2 freshmen off the bench. Wofford's not the team you want to play. We fought for a little while. We tried. Even when we got down big in the second half, we battled. I think we got to 60-55, and and then the wheels came off. And give them credit.
What's the severity of Justin's injury?
Yeah, he 10 minutes ago in practice yesterday, he just he jumped, landed, and he just crumbled to the floor. I thought it was really bad. We were told it's not. It's very similar to Alonzo Frank's injury. Very, very similar. Same injury in a different part of the knee, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm being clear with what I said. Those conversations, his parents flew in. They got here at 4:30. Those conversations were being had because there's 2 different options. I have not had a chance to visit with Mark, our trainer, and his parents to figure out what are the 2 options that they're going to choose. The plan was for him to have surgery tomorrow. If he has a scope done, there's 2 options. Option 1, there's a chance that he's back sometime in January. Option 2, he's done for the year. So we don't know. I don't know that yet. I'll find out here in a little bit.
You mentioned Chris and Mike. Just how hard is it for the offense to kind of get going and get clicking when those guys aren't necessarily playing up to that?
I got nothing good to say there, so let's not get myself in trouble. Then they say there's a coach calling his players out. You got to ask them. They've been with me for 3 or 4 years. They got to figure out a way to play for us. They're not playing for us right now. They're just kind of doing their own thing.
Frank, without Justin out there, obviously Hassani gets the assignment of McGee.
Yeah.
I mean, he played for 39 minutes tonight and used a lot of energy kind
Tried.
of chasing him around. What do you think of his effort? And with Justin out moving forward, is Hassani a guy you lean on for that perimeter defense?
Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, we got outscored in one matchup, 30-0. A.J. Lawson and number 10. That was the matchup to start the game. A.J. makes 3 consecutive mistakes. Number 10 makes us pay right off the bat. So you get a good shooter going. And when a good shooter gets going, it's over. And, and Hassani, because of how good a shooter McGee is and how much action they put him in, whoever's guarding McGee's kind of locked in. Because if you fall asleep, they just screen you and they get it to him, and he's got a quick trigger, and he is an absolute jump shooter. Like, for example, I told Hassani at halftime, I said, Sani, you've done a tremendous job on him. But at the end of the half, you cheated a screen, and you gave him a wide-open lick from the left corner. He just missed. It's the first open shot he gets. That's why it didn't go in. I promise you, coming out of the second half, because he just missed, he finally saw the rim, he's coming to go get it. First 2 possessions of the second half, Hassani's late on both coverages. What happens? Bang, bang. Both in the net. That's, 2 things. Hassani kind of not being as clean to start the second half as he needs to be, but give McGee credit too, because I thought Hassani did a pretty good job. But, when you guard a guy like that, it's hard to help, so it puts a lot of onus on your other guys defensively, and we weren't very good there, and I don't mean to be boring with this, but it kind of goes back to the 2 guys that I was asked about a second ago. Their ball screen defense is really bad right now. We were the 4th best ball screen defense last year. Right now, our ball screen defense is really bad, and that's because those guys aren't locked in.
How's Alonzo doing? I saw him warming up. Just kind of timetable for him.
Unless something, if today was, I don't know, last game of the season, SEC play, postseason play, whatever, he's probably healthy enough to play today. But it's a young kid, man. No sense to rush him back. The plan is for him to go full practice Wednesday, Thursday. Assuming there's no flare-ups, I expect him to play Friday.
You have a very difficult December slate coming up. I mean, how far away do you feel this team is from being able to compete with those higher-level teams you're going to be facing?
Yeah, Phil, I never worry about that kind of stuff. It's always about us and getting ready for conference play. You schedule those teams because you want your team to understand. My first year here, we were 10-2, I think, at the end of non-league play, with a strength of schedule of 340 or something like that. That's not preparing you for league play. So what happened? League play starts. It's different. We just weren't ready to go. Playing Wofford and all the teams on our schedule. The idea is to get your team ready for league play. The end of the day, our team, obviously you can't keep losing. You got to figure out a way to win. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's about competing to go get your league and getting our guys ready for that January, February, March run. And if we just stay the course and figure out a way to get a little tougher, because we're not very tough right now. When things are hard, we usually step sideways. We got to get a little tougher, and that's, you guys all kind of get mad at me sometimes because I kind of get really mad at some stuff. That's when my teams have always been tough as nails, because I never step sideways, I never step back, I stay. I don't care how hard it gets, and my teams have always responded to that. This team has to eventually figure that one out. We're not there yet. That's what's holding us back right now, is that inner discipline, toughness to take on your responsibility. Right now, we got moments where we're just too young, number one, and number two, the guys that should be doing that and leading that way are not. And that's not, like you guys might say, Frank, how do you fix that? I really don't care. I'm going to coach the guys that are going to be engaged and do what they're supposed to do. The other guys can figure it out. And I like my young guys a lot. We got to figure out a way, and this is going to be Justin's challenge, as he's becoming the spirit of our team, the guy that brings that every single day, somehow he's got to, like when Sindarius got suspended those 6 games, that was who he was. Obviously, he averaged 20 points a game and all that stuff, but that was who he was. Well, even though he was not playing, that spirit for 6 games was still there because he made sure it stayed there. That's going to be Justin's challenge. He's going to have to figure out a way to keep leading those young kids. So as we go through growth, we get better and better so we can be prepared for conference play.